Hey guys, welcome to the Up Next podcast, where we are interviewing teen entrepreneurs that are making it big time in the startup world. We are asking the questions we know you want to hear. Up Next is an app made for teens where anyone can join or build a real life startup.
I started the company when I was 22, just out of university. Shortly after graduating, I won an award with Sir Richard Branson, so I had breakfast with him. I lived in Southeast Asia for 3 months. I lived in Silicon Valley for 3 months and Europe for 9 months. So I traveled all over the world running my startup.
How did you find yourself creating such a business? What sparked the idea?
So when I was in university, I was traveling a lot around Europe and America. And I was using over 10 different platforms, and none of them were really answering my needs. So therefore, that's when the first idea came. And then once we started building the platform, more ideas came until we got to where we are today.
Who do you consider your first mentor? What did they help you go through?
A few mentors, but Richard Branson's up there with, he helped quite a lot when we have breakfast with him. But to be honest, I've had hundreds of mentors over the years. Some of them have been heavily involved. One of them was the guy who set up Yik Yak, which was a social app worth 400 million after 1 year. And he actually joined my team afterwards as our non-executive director. So he's definitely been a huge influence on helping myself and the team and the community.
How much time did it take for you to build the product that you launched?
So I'm not techie, so first I had to find a team. So that took a while. So when we actually started developing, I think it was 6 months until we got a very early MVP out. It wasn't until a year since we had like a good quality platform out.
How much money was needed to build your first version?
So I brought on some co-founders, and they were had tech backgrounds, so they did a lot of the first development work. We also have to date raised over $500,000 investment. So we used most of that actually on product development as well.
How did you get those first users, customers to come aboard? What was that like?
This is the fun part. Myself and a team of 12 traveled all over Europe and Southeast Asia for about 6 months.
For work? Are you kidding me? This is not, yeah. I can't listen to this anymore.
And we spoke to thousands and thousands of our earliest users. We had huge launch parties, on beaches in Bali, nightclub events in Madrid.
To any of this.
That's how we got our first few thousand earliest users on the platform. And since then, we've just been working with them and improving the product from there.
Could you name one advantage and one disadvantage of being such a young entrepreneur?
We're actually pivoting quite significantly. So we started off being purely sort of social networking based, and our aim was to build up and sell to Facebook. So we built up our network over there in Silicon Valley. But now we're pivoting more towards the travel industry head on. So we're currently integrating over 35,000 tours into the platform for our users to book. And we're using machine learning to target that to user interests, so you can discover the best in the world for you. So that's what we're launching now, ready for the end of COVID in the next few months.
What is one time you experienced a real fail moment? Just, everything went wrong. Did you fix it? Were you able to? Did you learn from it? What happened?
We had an investor wanting to put in about $320,000 investment. So we signed all the documents. Off the back of that coming in, we increased our team. I was then out in Southeast Asia for a few months, and we thought this money was going to come into the bank. But after 2 weeks, after a month, after 2 months, 3 months, it just never came in. Even though we were working with our government, their government, our lawyers, his lawyers, we kept constant communication, but it never came in. So our bank account hit zero. I then had to borrow $30,000 to pay my team. I took out a credit card, used that to fly to Silicon Valley. I stood in Silicon Valley with a sign saying we were raising investment. I then networked really high. I networked really high in Silicon Valley. So met Rich Page, one of the guys who set up Apple with Steve Jobs. I was living in a garage out there. I could hardly afford food. I remember going to the supermarket, paying with my card, thinking it was go red.
Wow.
And then at the end of 3 months, we raised investment, and I flew home with the money in the bank. So that was the hardest thing I've ever come up with in my life.
What are 3 traits that you look for in a co-founder, business partner type of person?
Good question. It's always good to hire or have a co-founder who fills the skills gap you don't have. So mine would be tech related because I'm not a developer. So I've got 2 co-founders. They're both very genius in tech development, software development. But I think if you're founding a company, there's 3 most important people you need. You need the sort of designer who creates everything looking great. You need the hacker, the person who actually creates the product, and you need the go-getter, the person who goes out there and talks to investors and gets excitement around the product. So the 3 sort of personalities you need when you're founding a startup.
Could you name one advantage and one disadvantage of being such a young entrepreneur?
Wasting his time. I personally don't, but people might think that. So could you tell me one advantage and disadvantage of starting at such a young age?
So I give lectures in universities and schools, and I always tell them the best time to start is in your early 20s or your late teens, because you've got nothing to lose and you've got everything to gain. Even if it doesn't work out, you'll learn more in 2-3 years of being an entrepreneur than 20, 30 years in a normal job. You will have a lifetime of experience, and it's not about the final destination. It's not about having £1 million in the bank or whatever you want. It's about the journey getting there and who you meet and how much you grow personally. And yeah, starting off young is great. You don't have much commitment. You don't have a mortgage to pay, a car to pay for, a family to pay for. It's just you out in the world, and you can live wherever, you can work with whoever. So I think it's a great opportunity, and you're a sponge as well. You get all this information and you learn.
Yeah.
But I mean, the disadvantage is obviously, you're fresh on the market, you don't know much. But I see that as an advantage. It means you can grow.
What is a tech tool that you just can't go without? Maybe an app or a website, something that you always use?
Alpaca.
Which entrepreneurs inspire you the most these days? Who do you have your eye on?
I'm always changing. I'm reading new books, listening to new podcasts, and it's always changing. But I think the biggest influence on me has been from Silicon Valley. Like Reid Hoffman, the guy who set up LinkedIn and PayPal, absolute genius guy. I love reading his books and listening to his podcasts. Masters of Scale is one of his podcasts. He interviews all the top CEOs around the world. So yeah, he's probably the most influential. Yeah.
What single piece of advice do you have to give to those who are listening and looking to be in your place?
I've got many, but the top one or top few, one is just to go out and do it. So many people come to me with great ideas, but the biggest thing which sets you apart from being successful is actually going out and doing it. So just take that jump, just put one step in, then the next, and just keep moving forward. But so many people have great ideas, but they just don't commit to it. So my biggest advice is just do it. There's nothing to lose. You've just got everything to gain. Even if it doesn't work out, you've learned so much. So just do it.
How important do you feel it is for young entrepreneurs to think about social change when creating a business?
Very important. That's what everyone wants to do, and that's what the customer wants to do. That's what your employees want you to do. It's what your investors want you to do. So I think almost every company needs to do that in some way, shape, or form. Obviously, sometimes it's quite hard, but there's a lot of things you can do to help out the world and to make the world a better place. I think that's what entrepreneurs go out to do anyway. They go out to create a product or a service which helps the world and benefits the world. So obviously, if you can make that sustainable and environmentally friendly and everything else, then obviously it makes the product and service even better. So.
If you could have any superpower in the world, what would you pick?
Because I love travel and adventure, it'd have to be to fly.